What's going on, guys? Kulprit here, and today we are going to talk about the newly leaked information and now officially confirmed Battlefield Hardline, the next game we're going to be getting in the pipeline coming this fall. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to just regurgitate all the leaked information for you guys, the stuff that you can just go read for yourself on Reddit or any of this other 7,000 videos that are in your sub box covering it. I wanted to kind of step away and zoom out, look a little big picture, and talk about how I feel like this new information kind of affects Battlefield's future. Because I think what we learned today as far as the next iteration tells us a lot about EA's plans and things like that. So I do want to talk about that. I will include some of my thoughts about Hardline specifically towards the end of the video, because I know some of you will be asking. But first, I do want to mention that I am making my first video on my new PC, on the new desk, in the new room. The setup is kind of done. Actually, it's not done. It's the setup of the new setup is done, if that makes any sense to you. Figure this is the beta version. The reason I mention that to you is in case like the audio is off. You know, the dimensions of this room are a little smaller. It's different. Until I figure out kind of the acoustics, there might be a little bit of an echo or something going on here. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. Feedback is always welcome, but just understand that you know I can't change and figure these things out overnight. So it's going to be a process. So I'm going to do a video for you guys, hopefully this week, maybe next week, where I kind of give you a little bit of a tour, show you what's going on, give you the PC specs, all that stuff. So just wait patiently. I'm trying to get there. It's been a long time coming, a couple weeks, if not months of me working in here. Had a couple hiccups. The old PC actually died finally while we were doing the podcast last week, so that kind of threw me off. That's why you haven't seen any videos. But yeah, we're getting that behind us now. Everything's installed. I'm making my first video. I'm excited to do that. We've got some pretty big news to talk about. So let's talk about the big picture, shall we? Not just the details and the leaks and the images and stuff. Like I said, you can find that plenty of other places. But let's talk about what's interesting to me, and that is kind of how this affects my view on the future of Battlefield. And we've got Battlefield 3 now. We've got Battlefield 4. We've got the Frostbite engine itself. We've got Hardline now. And then we've got, you know, Battlefront we know a little bit about. And, of course, then Battlefield 5 and Bad Company 3 and 2143 and all these things we're projecting out in the future. We have a lot of kind of, you know, data points, and we have a lot of, you know, points in the chart for EA, and the more we get of that, the more plots on their chart, it's easier to see what kind of a course they're planning. And it's just like, you know, you're drawing a picture, you know, by dots. You know, if you got 10 dots, the picture's very vague, and it looks like my 5-year-old did it at school. If you got 1,000 dots, you know, suddenly you can hang this thing on your wall, right? The more data points you have, the better picture you can draw in essence. And today I feel like we got a pretty big data point. We got a big dump of data, and we're seeing exactly what EA's strategy is here. And clearly Frostbite is what they feel is their competitive advantage. Now listen, I understand Battlefield 4 has problems. Spare me the comments on that. Look at my backlog. I've got plenty of videos covering that. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the big idea here and their business plan almost, and a strategic plan of EA. They see Frostbite as their competitive advantage. It's their big platform. It's what they want to use to have all their games built on it. We've seen some of this. We've seen racing games. We've seen all kinds of variety of games on the Frostbite engine. Some good, some bad. Hey, that's to each other today. That's another video. And like I said, but if you connect the dots and you see what they're doing here, you get an idea what EA is planning. And what I want to say is what people are having a really hard time with, and the thing I see them being most upset about, this is not a Battlefield game, or it's not a true Battlefield experience. Well, guys, that doesn't exist anymore. Battlefield, quote-unquote, Battlefield has changed. It's shifted. It's moved. Battlefield is now a brand. It's a brand just like Call of Duty, a brand like Tom Clancy. You know, these are brands that you tack onto games to give them immediate recognition, to give them immediate credit. And again, I understand that Battlefield 4 is at a low point in that credit, but let's be honest here. If they just called this Hardline and put it on a shelf or announced it, people would be excited about it, but it wouldn't get that recognition to a casual walking through Best Buy. You know, by calling it Battlefield Hardline, that guy whose girlfriend is buying printer ink and he's walking down the aisle in Best Buy goes, oh, when did they put out a new Battlefield game? He's gonna look at it and go, wow, okay, I'm gonna grab that. And if this happened, guys, and a lot of you guys hold this game, remember Bad Company? People raged about Bad Company because it wasn't a Battlefield game, and now Bad Company 2 is held up as one of the most esteemed games in the franchise. You got to be a little more open-minded about this, you know, and what you got to think about when you're looking at now these games, because I'll tell you right now, Hardline is not going to be the last. There's going to be spin-off IPs within the quote-unquote Battlefield umbrella, and that's exactly what Battlefield is going to become. It's going to become a brand. It's going to become an umbrella for other games, and this is clearly EA's strategy, built all on the Frostbite engine. So when you see a game like Battlefield Hardline, what you should do to help you understand it is take away the battlefield, insert Frostbite. It should be Frostbite Engine Hardline, and that's what it should tell you. It's a game, it's a shooter in this case, cops and robbers, and it's in the battlefield environment. It's on the Frostbite engine, and that's really what they're trying to tell you. The shooting, the environment, the destruction, all these things are going to be incorporated. Who knows, maybe Levolution or something like that in this game. And I'll be honest with you, all its flaws and everything we know about Battlefield 4, it is a great engine. It's a pretty far advanced engine. It's really a lot further ahead than, let's just say, their competition, shall we? Even with all its flaws. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to leverage their engine. They've put a lot of resources and time into Frostbite. I said back in Battlefield 3, I thought that Frostbite might be the thing that EA was most proud of than Battlefield 3 itself, because they saw that ramping up and going into the future. You know, I've kind of figured all these games are going to be on the Frostbite engine. They're going to just release all kinds of games on the Frostbite engine. And it's all going to be relatively the same engine, the same backbone. It's going to be different iterations, you know, different chapters of the same book, if you will. I wouldn't be surprised. I initially thought we would see Frostbite 4 with Battlefront, but now I wouldn't be surprised if they do that with Hardline, announce Frostbite 4, which is just, it's hogwash, it's BS, it's marketing, but they're just going to try to separate some of the stink from Battlefield 4. But basically, I wanted to talk a little bit why I think this is good, and why I think this is good for the future of Battlefield at large. Even if you're a hardcore guy that harkens back to Battlefield 2 and you want those days to return, they're not gonna return, guys. Or if you're a BF3 guy, BF4 guy, maybe you're stoked for Battlefront. This is a good thing for you, because there are multiple developers or multiple studios working on the same engine can be a great thing. It's new ideas, new concepts, new approaches to old problems. Maybe this Visceral, who's going to be making Hardline, is going to approach, you know, things like explosive spam in a different way, and they're going to kind of solve that riddle. They're going to untangle that knot a little bit. And now for Battlefield 5 or Battlefront, DICE is going to, you know what, they handled that really well. Let's incorporate that. Let's borrow that. It's on the same engine. It's almost, you know, for sake of a discussion, copying, pasting it into our game. And I rose this point on Twitter. Is it any coincidence that, you know, we see a police game that's now, we see it's been in development. Apparently it's pretty far along in development, actually. It's almost ready for beta from what some of the people are saying from what they're seeing. Is it any coincidence that we have this police thing going back and forth that has a ballistic shield, and suddenly now Battlefield 4 has a ballistic shield? I wouldn't be surprised if DICE had visited or seen, or just, you know, grapevine, water cooler talk. Hey, check out this really cool asset they built for this game. Well, let's incorporate it in us and build a whole goddamn DLC around it. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And it was pointed out to me, maybe it went the other way, and maybe Visceral is borrowing it. Absolutely, but my point is, these ideas and concepts are going to be traded back and forth by different studios who have different ideas of how things should work. And that excites me, because I think DICE has lost their way a little bit, clearly, and they've gotten a little egotistical, to be quite honest, and a little stubborn. And I think introducing new ideas and maybe, you know, other studios' successes on DICE's platform will kind of humble them a little bit and open their eyes that they need to open their minds to different things. And I think that could be an absolute good thing for all of us. Let's just talk a little bit about Hardline, I guess, here. You know, who doesn't love cops and robbers, right? I do. I've on record. I went back and looked for the video. I can't find it. It's obviously in a non-entitled video. I talked about this. I was begging someone to make a cops and robbers on a Frostbite engine. Here it is. You know, I'm skeptical, 100% skeptical, but I'm excited because it's a great concept. It's a tried and true concept. And it could be a ton of fun. One of the games I really like, Payday. It's got a lot of Payday vibes coming off of this. The classes, all these things. It's a ton of Payday. That's what I keep feeling. Some Payday, Payday, Payday. You know, definitely getting that vibe from the information. Could be really cool. Some of the imagery, kind of large-scale cops and robbers, definitely gives me some feeling of the movie Heat. If you guys have ever seen that, great movie, one of my favorite movies ever. Could be epic, could be insane, like gunfights in the streets, blowing up cars, you know, Michael Bay movie think. Could be a ton of fun. But it also could be a complete waste of time and tons of garbage. Let's be honest here. I'm very worried about the very quick development cycle. Less than a year probably about. When did we start hearing about Visceral? Not long ago. So this is clearly not part of that 3-year development cycle. Basically, in essence, what this is going to be is a standalone Battlefield 4 DLC. It's just going to have some new gadgets, new maps, and new modes, but it's going to be on the same Battlefield 4 engine with just and the same assets. It's really, that's the only way I could see them feasibly getting this done. Another thing I'm worried about is the tactical first-person shooter. We know Visceral has made some third-party games. They're not really known for first-person shooters. So that worries me. What is their opinion of tactical going to be? Are we talking about third-person cover a la Ghost Recon? What is it called? Phantoms now? Something like that? Or, you know, and imagine that is that, you know, the developer's like, all right, you want a tactical shooter? All right, we're going to go develop this third-party Ghost Recon shooter, and they're going to bring it into demo to the suits, and the suits are like, what the hell is this? This isn't Call of Duty. This is too slow. This is no good. No. We want tactical shooter. We want tactical COD, you know? And I worry about miscommunication and not really being on the same page there. We'll know more soon, obviously, in E3, but that worries me. Is, you know, very quick dev cycle. I don't think the quality is going to be there. Very high chance of a flop, bad release day, all these things, that the same pitfalls of Battlefield 4. Hopefully they've learned some lessons from Battlefield 4. I think you kind of have to be an idiot to not to. But again, this is basically just going to be an extended DLC, standalone, probably charge you full price for it. New concept, obviously different, but the elements and assets are going to be very much the same. We're going to see a lot of similarities, and just expect that. I almost guarantee that to you. This, lastly, is the reason we got CTE. This is not, you know, DICE didn't suddenly become benevolent and said DICE LA took hold and like, we're going to do a beta client that everybody's been asking for 3 years, 4 years, probably even before Battlefield 3. No. This was calculated. This is smart, even. They're doing this now to regain some hope and some confidence in the Battlefield 4 engine. Why? Because who in their right mind would buy a close-quarter, urban, small squad-based, fast-action shooter based on the clunky, broken Battlefield 4 client and engine? Nobody would. So they have to do this CTE to get people, look guys, we're fixing it. We're trying very hard. We're gonna fix it. Don't worry, it's gonna work. And they're gonna highlight. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't highlight some things they fixed in this lead up. And they're going to try to regain some hope and some confidence in the Battlefield Frostbite engine. And that's clearly a strategy here, and that's what the CTE is all about. I've said it from the start. It's not just about Battlefield 4. We will see improvements to Battlefield 4, thankfully, but that's a side effect. That's a byproduct of this. This is clearly a calculated move in marketing and in, you know, obviously tech support and supporting the game. But it's a strategic move to regain hope and confidence so that people will, by the time Hardline comes out, and it's going to look great. These guys are great at making trailers. They're phenomenal. It's going to look good. We're going to all want to jump on the hype train. Just remember, guys, it wasn't that long ago that we were on that same Battlefield 4 hype train. Be careful. You know, be careful. You know, nobody would buy this game on the launch engine. Nobody. So, but do also remember, on the flip side, Hardline poses no threat to you. People are so hostile. I mean, Reddit's just disgusting. And I know they are. I have a pretty good Reddit filter. I can read it and glisten the good information out and just totally not even pay attention to the bad info and dummies and trolls. But it's really bad today. People are downright hostile towards this game. And it's remarkable to me because nobody's forcing you to buy this game. You know, this game is no threat to you. You might as well consider it a new IP. It's a new concept and it's a new studio. And unless you're stupid enough to pay for it before it releases, it poses no harm to you. And if you do that, then I'm sorry, I'm going to use you're a moron. If you buy this game, you pre-order this game, you're a moron. And maybe you'll get a roll of dice and you're going to get a good game. But if you don't, I don't want to hear you bitching afterwards, because they will not get a dime from me, even as a YouTuber, until launch. Until this game is out and I feel like it's got a good showing. I don't care about the beta. I don't care about anything. I'm going to wait days probably until after launch to make sure it's good, if that's the case. And I'm just going to sit here and scoff at anybody that pre-orders it. Do not pre-order anything. Anything. So, lastly, I'm going to sign off with someone on Twitter actually said to me, Renegade0865, a follower of mine on Twitter, and obviously I'm assuming a sub over here, because he tweeted at me, isn't this your perfect Battlefield game, basically? Gun on gun with support vehicles. And he made me think, and he's actually right, potentially. The concept is right in my wheelhouse, and I assume a lot of you guys are similar as you follow me. This could be great. Small squads, CQB, urban, infantry-centric. Honestly, guys, it could be like a GTA / Payday / Heat the movie with Battlefield, in the Battlefield environment. And as much as we bellyache about Battlefield 4 and Frostbite 3, I still do prefer the Battlefield experience and the Battlefield environment and the Frostbite engine over any other engine out there. So I am high on this as a concept. I'm high of this as a game. Bring it out. Let's do it. I almost wish it wasn't coming out so soon. I wish I had more time to work on it. But I'm skeptical, and I'm going to be guarded. And, you know, I'm going to watch my money very closely this time around. But I did want to bring up the big picture points because I thought they were important. EA is clearly using Battlefield as a brand now. It's a brand. There's no more Battlefield experience. There's no more true Battlefield game. You guys wanting Battlefield 2 need to get over that. You guys liking Battlefield 3 even need to get over that. You gotta delink yourself to the word Battlefield. It's not gonna be used in the same way you're used to. That's just a fact these days, so get used to that. We're gonna see a lot of spin-off IPs that are gonna probably use the Battlefield name as leverage. They're going to exist on the Frostbite engine, and they're going to use the Battlefield environment. And that's just the way it is. That's probably good business, to be quite honest. And that's just how it's going to be. So what are you guys' thoughts? Obviously, there's a lot of opinions out there. Please post down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking, what your vibe is this. I can't wait to see some more, you know, footage and concepts of this. Like I said, it appears to be pretty well along. Battlefield Alpha and Beta seem to be like... I'm sorry, Hardline Beta is hinted at in some of the codes. That's pretty interesting that they did manage to keep it under wraps. I know we're probably going to get a ton of YouTube footage coming because a bunch of YouTubers did go to San Francisco about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They've been very hush-hush on why they were there. Obviously, it was a play demo. I assume they've got a lot of footage. Probably was going to coordinate with E3. Maybe they'll let them release that early now because everything's kind of gotten pushed up with these leaks. I don't know, but I want more info, and I'm going to be keeping my eye on it. Obviously, I'll do some videos on it if you guys are interested, so let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, guys, I'm back. Look for some more regular content. I'm excited to bring that to you guys. Hope you're having a good summer. I will talk to you soon, guys. Take care.